All right, so right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about Pro Tools markers, bounce, commit, freeze, this kind of stuff here. This is really good stuff. Let's talk about, let's not start with the markers. Let's start with bouncing tracks and committing. This stuff is really important. And I feel like it's something we've talked about before a little bit. I know I've talked about it with a couple of you before, just quickly, but basically we've got this. Let's see. Yo. Here, let's take this here. Let's say we've got this bass line here. And the bass line, let's back this up a little bit here. I'm gonna go back to, let's see here, trap beats, vocal effect chain. We're gonna put the effects, let's say I've got the effects directly on my bass. My name is Tony. Put this so it's going straight out to my output here. There we go. My name is Tony. Okay. So I got this here, and my bass has all this stuff. It sounds really cool, but what I want to do is I want to just take it. So I want to save my CPU power from these processors here. If we go ahead and look in our window, we can go to system usage. System usage shows how much of my processor overall I'm using. Now, this computer that I've got right here is a Mac Mini, but it's like a souped up Mac Mini beast. That's like it was the top of the line in 2018 or 2019 or whatever, which is a really good machine. You can see it's got 12 cores. And so even with all this stuff that's going on here, we're only hitting 8% of the processor here, 9%. So I don't really need to bounce anything right now. And that's one of the things I love about this computer is I really never need to bounce anything. But if you do want to bounce something for saving your CPU or just for getting the effect or whatever, what you want to do is we have two choices here. We can bounce it with all these effects here, or we could bounce it with just the synth itself and then have these continue to be audio effects on here. So keep in mind that usually synthesizers take up a lot of your CPU more than effects do. That's not always the case, but it usually happens like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a couple ways to do this. One is we can right click on the name of the track and go down here, and we have three options here: freeze, commit, and bounce. So all this stuff over here, all these booms, for example, I can freeze them all. Or the bass here, let's just do the bass first. So I'm going to go back to this window here so we can see what's going on. Here's my bass. I'm going to right click the name of the track. I'm going to go to freeze. When I hit freeze, it goes through this motion here. And now it turns my track this kind of bluish color, and you can see the audio waveform, but you can also still see the MIDI that's on here. And if we listen to it, it still sounds exactly the same as it was sounding before. Okay. All these effects over here have little snowflake ice crystal things next to them to show that they're frozen. If I want to move things around, I cannot add effects in. Well, I guess I can. Can I add effects? Actually, I didn't know you could add effects in here. Let's put a. Oh, I guess you can. Yeah, I guess you can add effects like after your effects that are in the session, but I can't. Yeah, I can't move them around. It's going to say, hey, you can't move it around because it's frozen. So I can't really do anything with these effects that are on here. So if I wanted to, though, I can unfreeze the track. Go to click unfreeze, and now it'll put it back to how it was, and then I can refreeze it again. And what it's basically doing is it's creating like a temporary audio file of that with the effects on it. But it's a good way to do it if you need to lock a track in place. You don't really want to mess with it. You don't need to mess with the arrangement or anything like that. Freeze is pretty useful. All the programs like Logic, Ableton Live, Pro Tools, they all have freeze. But the way they handle it's a little bit different. Logic and Pro Tools both handle it basically the same way. With Ableton Live, or same-ish way. With Ableton Live, you can actually still move your clips around stuff because what it's doing is it's freezing each individual clip, and so you can still move the clips around and you can still do stuff to them. So Ableton Live's freeze function is more useful than the Logic or Pro Tools ones in terms of still being able to do edits and work with the audio. It's actually pretty cool in Ableton Live, whereas in Pro Tools and Logic, I don't really use it at all. The other option, if I right-click, is we've got commit. Now commit, I like commit a lot, because commit, what it does is it changes it into audio. So I'm going to go in here, I click on commit, and it says, what do you want to commit? I want to commit my selected tracks. Do you want to consolidate the clips? No, that means that like basically right now you can see they're individual clips. I want to keep them as individual clips. Then render automation, volume and pan mute, stuff like that. If I had panning or volume automation stuff in there, I want to render that into the audio itself, then I would click these buttons. But trust me, you probably don't want to do that unless you're exporting it for something. And then over here we've got copy, sends, groups. Charlie says we gotta learn to walk first. Oh yeah. Are you talking about the Ableton? Or are you talking to me? Then we got, what do you want to copy? You want to copy sends, group assignments? Yeah, check both of these boxes because the group assignments is your outputs and the sends is your sends to reverbs and stuff like that. So you want that stuff to go over there. Now, where do you want it to end up in your list of stuff in your organization? Insert after the last selected tracks is usually what you want to check. And then what do you want to do for your source track is commit only for MIDI. So Joe, what you mean to say is commit only for instruments, because MIDI actually you can't commit at all. MIDI is no audio, remember. But for instruments, no, it's not only for instruments. It's also if you had like, well, I'm going to show it to you on the vocal part here in a second. But I could do it with the vocal because if I'm using it to alleviate the strain on my CPU, like if I've got an older computer and I'm using a lot of my compressor, like I'm using like plugins that use a lot of processing power, and I want to alleviate that strain. So I want to keep the sound that I've got, but I just want to get rid of all the plugins. I can use commit for that as well. So I'm just showing it to you on an instrument because I want to show you something very specific here in a second after I show you general stuff. So the source track, what do I want to do with my source track? The original track it's coming from. My recommendation is hide and make inactive. The options are make inactive, delete, do nothing. Do nothing is not going to do anything. It's just going to leave it there. Delete's going to delete the track out of your session. Make it inactive will make it inactive, but it'll keep it right there on your screen. Hide and make inactive, it'll make it inactive and then it will hide it. So it's not, you're not looking at it. So this is what I recommend, because once you make things inactive, they no longer use your CPU, but I can always go back and turn it back on. The other cool thing about this is that I have access to the audio waveform directly. The difference between this and freeze is that one of them, I can't do anything. I can't edit it. I can't do anything with it. It's just there. This one here, if I wanted to, I can go and edit and do stuff to it still. So also make sure you have offline checked. So I'm going to hit OK. Go like this. Boop, 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 boop. And there we go. Now, what you'll notice that it did over here on the left-hand side is my original track is still here. There it is, and it has all the effects and stuff on it, but it's inactive. It deactivated it, and it hid it. Now, whoops, why did it do that? Oh. So now, we listen to it. It sounds exactly the same, and it's got all the effects on it. So that's what's really cool about this whole thing. So what I'm going to do here is if I ever want to get back and change these effects, so I can just open it back up and then make it inactive by right-clicking, make it active again, reactivating it, and there we go, we've got it. And it should sound like it did before. It does. Yeah, they both sound the same. So that's commit, and commit's my favorite one. You can also see it renames the track .cm. So if you're ever sending files to somebody and you don't know if they have the effects or whatever, or yes or no, if they have the effects plugins that you're using, then you can commit your tracks and it will just make sure it bounces to audio with the effects on it. Now, the reason why I showed you this on I'm going to delete this track here because I don't want it in here anymore. Boop, there we go. The reason why I showed this to you on an instrument track was because if I wanted to just commit the instrument audio, but I want to keep my effects here. What I can do is I can right-click on the plugin, and I can go commit up to this insert. You can also do the same thing with freeze. Commit up to this insert, and just hit OK. And now it's going to commit it, but it's not going to commit it with the effects plugins on here. So this is really useful if all you want to do is just get rid of your instrument plugin, but keep your effects on here for tweaking, which is in this case, I'm going to keep this one like this because that's a good way to do it. Cool, and it sounds good. All right, great. So let me show you that with the vocal as well, but let me just drag these down here back to where they were. Unmute that, put this one back into my bass effects one. All right, cool. There we go, yeah. Yeah, it sounds much better like this. All right. All right. The reason why I moved them over is just so you could see me working with this stuff. Okay. So now let's go in here to our vocals, and our vocals.
Yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat. His name is Unko. He's really furry. He's a furry guy. He's a furry little cat. People like to pet him all day.
All right, cool. So I got all these, and I think that sounds pretty good. The effects that I have on here. So I just want to make sure I just lock them in, and if I send them to like somebody, then they can use it. Even if they don't have the LA2A or the EQ3 7-band, they don't have these here, they can still use them because this LA2A. Remember, this is a UAD one, which is something that a lot of people like y'all don't have it. I know a few people who have the UAD systems, but not a lot of my friends have UAD systems. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on it down here on the bottom and go to commit. Just gonna hit OK. And now my vocal, it's this new vocal here. This is what the vocal looks like with the tracks through the effects on it. Here, let me just go ahead and we can see what we're doing here. So this is what it looked like before, this is what it looks like afterwards.
Yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat. His name is Unko.
It should sound exactly the same. So that answers your question, Joe. Would you ever use this on stuff that's non-instruments? And the answer is absolutely yes. You'd use it on anything that you've got an effect that you need to what's the word for it? What do they call, not bounce. You need to not freeze, like bake it into the track. Anything that you want to bake into the track that you want it to be in there. So there you go. It's called commit in Pro Tools. So that's in our notes right here. Freeze freezes the track without actually turning it into audio. You can unfreeze at any time to edit the data. Good for instrument tracks if you want to use it. I don't use it for anything. Commit converts the track to full audio right in the session. It also gives you the option of keeping the original track, which you should do. You can also commit up to a certain plugin in the effects chain, and then bounces tracks to disk for sending to other DAWs. All three of these are great for relieving the CPU usage of your computer as well as for resampling stuff. And we're going to talk about resampling at a different time. But essentially, in here, the other one is bounce. Let me go ahead and put these. Get rid of this. We don't need this here. Reactivate. Consolidate. What is consolidate? What are you asking there? Consolidate. Joe, what do you mean by consolidate? You mean the option for consolidate? So the word consolidate, what it means is to join the tracks, the clips together. So if you select consolidate here, if I go to commit and I go to consolidate clips, what it would do, if I hit OK, it's going to make these all into one long clip without the cuts. See, it's one long clip. Now, the difference is between this and doing it the other way, turning the consolidate off, is that the audio is still the same. It still has the same amount of audio because the other one also makes one long audio clip. It's just what it does is just put your original cuts back in there for you. I think if that's your question. If your question is it the same as consolidating? Why can't we just consolidate stuff? Then the answer is no, you cannot just consolidate stuff. Like consolidate is like this, Command Option 3, and when I consolidate, it literally just consolidates the clips. It doesn't actually do anything with the audio data over here. So they're very different things.
Yo.
All right. Bounce. Bounce is a track to disk for sending to other DAWs. So if I wanted to send this track to something, I could go to bounce. And it's going to ask me how do I want to bounce it. We call this one Tony Vocal, 150 BPM. What do I want to send it as? AIF, MP3, WAV, whatever. But it's just this one track. It's basically the same as your overall bounce of everything, which we're going to talk about in just a second, but it's just for this one track. File format, interleaved, yep, good. Pad to frame boundary, we don't have to worry about that so much right now. Import after bounce, if you want to bring it back in, then you can do that if you want. But I would use commit if you're just going to resample stuff. Where do you want to put it? Tell it where you want to put it, and then make sure you have offline checked. And when I click this button, it's just going to bounce out this one track. So this is the showing you this one here. You can commit up to a certain point in the plugin effects chain. That's what this is right here. Right click on the selected plugin, track, or plugin. Use these settings. Use commit to free up resources. Commit instruments without the effects so you can have the instrument audio. Use commit up to this insert. Right click the instrument plugin. It's a really good way to do it. And the instrument will be changed to audio, but everything after will remain as plugin. So you just saw me show you that. Don't need to go over that again right now. All right, now let's talk about bouncing. Actually, before we do bounce, let's talk about markers. Markers allow us to put in points in our session where we want to, show something is happening or whatever. So, for example, I'm going to change my grid to 1 bar, and the marker, you can put the markers in as the song goes. So let's go ahead and let's grab. Whoa, don't need all that extra audio. Okay, so we have all these here. I'm going to go ahead and group these tracks. Command Shift G, Command Option G. Oh, I see, elastic audio. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and consolidate these then. All right, so now I got these tracks and these drums up here. I'm going to go ahead and group all these. Make them into a group. The shortcut for grouping is Command Option G. Boom. So now I got my groups here. And if I drag one, it just drags them all together, which is really nice. So we're going to go ahead and just duplicate these. Boom, boom, boom. So we have a lot of that stuff going on there. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds. Oh, I missed my hi-hat with the groups. Hold on a second. There we go. Get the hi-hat in there. Get it in there. There we go. Oh. Not sure why these got locked. It was probably some shortcut. Oh. There we go. Cool. Grouping them together. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. All right, so let's say we want to have this go here. I'm going to arrange this out into a song a little bit here. Let's go back to the beginning. Remember we said actually when we have this running, we don't need when we have the bass going, we don't need we'll let that roll for a second here. We don't need that lower kick drum. That's sounding good.
Yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat. His name is Unko. He's really furry. He's a furry guy. He's a furry little cat. People like to pet him all day. Yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat.
All right, so I'm gonna put some. Let's do some. Where's my filter? Let's put another filter on here, actually, on the base as a whole. And we're going to put a little automation in here. So I just did like a quick little layout thing, and we're gonna put some automation on here. Let's use a filter. I'm gonna use a modulation. Move filter. Let's see. I feel like I have another filter. Oh yes, this is Filter Freak. I like Filter Freak. There we go. Yeah, yeah. And do some automation in here. So go over here, go to my frequency, and yeah, I think that's pretty good there. Go down here to my bass group, my Filter Freak frequency. Highlight this, pull it down. Like this. Let's hear what that sounds like. Cool. Awesome, sounds good. Let's also automate the bypass as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to have it so it is open here. Yeah, we're going to turn the bypass on right here in this section here. No, wait. We want it to be bypassed for, wait, we want it to be mostly bypassed and then just offered right here. There we go. So now let's see what it sounds like.
People like to pet him all day.
Yeah. And I'm gonna also go in here and get, let's get that hand clap out of there as well. I turned off the bass drum, hand clap, yeah, this one here. Mute these. And let's automate the snare drum as well. And remember, I'm gonna do a trim automation, multi-mono trim, instead of using the actual thing here, and go ahead and automate this, holding down my claw, enable automation, go in here to clips, go to trim, gain. Let's just pull this down a little bit. Okay, we can turn this one off too. And I think this hi-hat line as well. Now the hi-hat line is audio. So no zoom, zoom, zoom? What do you mean zoom? So the hi-hat line is audio here, and then we go in here like this. What do you mean zoom? You mean zoom class? Go to zoom class when I say we go to zoom class. There we go. Let's turn this down a little bit. Awesome, let's go in here. Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna zoom today.
Yo, my name is Tony.
Sweet, I'm gonna turn these hi-hats down even a little bit more.
Yo,
Nice.
my name is Tony.
Okay, now the other thing we're gonna do is cut out these bars over here. So I'm just gonna highlight these bars, and we're gonna go to Event, Time, Operations, Cut Time. Look at that. So if you ever have like some stuff in here and you're like, I need to get rid of these bars, I need to add some bars in, well, we've got them right here. Time, Operations, Insert, or Cut Time. Go ahead and get rid of this. And let's do that. Boop, apply, and we got rid of that time. Okay, so now that we've got this all laid out here, what we're going to do is put some markers in, so we just know where our flow is. So I'm going to hit the Enter key on my keyboard if you have a numeric keypad. If you do not have a numeric keypad, you need to hold down the FN key and hit Return. Is your two main shortcuts for this. So FN and Return if you're on like a laptop, and if you have a numeric keypad is this numeric keypad, then use the Enter key on here. And what you'll do is you will hit Enter, and it brings up this memory location thing here, and you're going to say, this is the top of my song. And then over here is where my verse comes in. Let's just make everything small again. So here's where my verse comes in at bar 9, verse 1. And here's my break. And here's verse 2. And the end of it is right here, but I don't want to put end right here at the, I want to give a little bit of time to
day.
Right? Now we also want to tailor the end a little bit here. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. Get rid of, let's see.
Day.
Don't need that.
Very little. Day.
Don't want that. There we go.
Day.
Don't want this one either.
Day.
Awesome. So now I want to have this be my end right here, and boom. So now we can see I've got my top, which is the beginning. You can call it start, you can call it top, you can call it beginning, whatever you want to do. We've got verse 1, we've got the break, we got verse 2, and then we got the end. So now if I want to skip to any one of these parts here, I can open up my memory locations window, and it's right here under Window, Memory Locations. And in here, I can go ahead and go to different parts of my song. So if I want to go to verse 1.
Yo, my name is Tony.
Right, if I want to go to the break. Right, if I want to go to verse 2.
Yo, my name.
Or I want to go to the end. Well, I don't need to go to the end. Or if I want to go to the top. So I can just skip around to different parts in the song. This makes it super easy to navigate, and also helps you just to see what's going on with your layout of your song and everything. So I use these memory locations all the time. Now, when you're done with everything and you're ready to bounce it out, what you're going to do with your memory locations is you're going to click on the first one, and you're going to hold down Shift and click the last one called End. That's why you need to name it one top, one end. And it will highlight that section between it. Now, in the beginning, you're probably going to be bouncing out your songs quite a few times as you try them out in different systems, sound systems. If you try them out in clubs, you try them out in cars, you try them out in your TV, you try them out in different places to get that mix going. And you're going to make adjustments. You're going to write down notes and say like, okay, something like that. And then you're going to you're going to go back and rebounce it out again. So you're going to need to have a top and an end at the very least. Joe says, what was the shortcut for memory locations? The shortcut is Command 5 if you have a numeric keypad. If you do not have a numeric keypad, then you don't have a shortcut for it. But Command 5 with the numeric keypad. So I've got this in here. I want to bounce it out. Now let's go to our bounce out section. I'm going to bounce, it's Command Option B. This is going to make a stereo 2-track version of your song. Now, before I do this, I'm going to go ahead and put a master fader on here. I got my master fader. I'm going to put a Maxim plugin on here, or any kind of mastering thing you want. But Maxim comes with Pro Tools, that's why I'm using that. Now, I'm not going to crank it all the way up, because if I do, it'll blast your eardrums out, because we've just been listening to it. Here, I'm going to put it down a little bit. I go to verse 1.
Yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat.
Now I'm turning my volume down on my master fader intentionally, because I've got everything cranked up right now, because we've been doing this a little bit softer. You know, it's not super loud. So I've been turning things up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to turn my volume down. I turn my volume down on the output here. But you want to do is you want to bring this threshold down here so it covers.
Yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat. His name is Unko. He's really furry. He's a furry guy. He's a furry little cat. People like to pet him all day.
So if I turn my main level down, I'm not sure what it's sounding like for y'all, so I'm not gonna.
Yo,
I'm not gonna try to crush your eardrum, but you basically want to bring this threshold down until you're getting into here like this. This is not mastering. This is just making it loud. So be aware, and it really depends on what your level is coming on the output of things, but this here is the one you're going to be using, and you set your ceiling to like minus 0.3, something like that. Oops. You're going to learn about mastering in another module at SAE. So I don't want to go into it too far. And if you have questions on Zoom, we can talk about it in Zoom, because I do want to get to Zoom here so you can start working on homework and stuff like that. But essentially in here, this is what's going on here. All right, cool. So got that in there. We've done all that. I'm going to pull this back up again.
yo, my name is Tony. I got a cat. His name is Unko. He's really furry. He's a furry guy. He's a furry little cat. People like to pet him all day.
Cool. So once we're ready to bounce it out, go over here, go to our bounce section, make sure our memory locations are set, shift click end and top, and then hit Command Option B to bounce. The name of this one is going to be, let's call it Cat Trap. Trap Cat. Interleaved. 24-bit pad to frame boundary. You don't need to worry about that. That's basically just going to keep the end of stuff on there. I think that's a new button. 24-bit 44.1 sample rate. Import after bounce. Don't need to do that. Where are we going to put it? Session folder, bounce files is fine. Offline, definitely. Now, if you click Add MP3, it's going to make an MP3 of your song. So when you hit bounce, it's going to bring you over here to this MP3 one. Encoding speed, let's do slowest, yep. Give it a name, Trap Cat, same stuff from before. Artist, you know, whoever. Tony Tones. Album, Pajama Party. Comment, yeah boy. Genre, is trap a genre? Do they have trap in here as a genre? They don't. Satire. And then hit OK. Hit bounce. Or you don't have to hit bounce because it's already bouncing. And it's going to bounce it out for you. And this will make it into a stereo file. We're going to talk about while it's doing it. You need to do this every time you got a song. If you want anybody to hear your song that's not sitting in front of your computer or in your studio, you need to do this. This is the most important thing that you have to do at the very end of everything. When you're done with everything, you have to bounce it out every time. So I'm gonna go like that. I'm gonna turn off the maximum. Cool, all right. Well, actually, turn it off. Command, Control, click, all right. And that's what is up. Let me go ahead and stop the recording.